Hi, I'm Life Coach Landry, and the topic is leadership lessons, particularly from The Godfather. This probably is going to be more for men, considering that the number one movie rated amongst most males is The Godfather. And the reason for that is the Don and writing the script had a lot of things that tie in to the way men think and have to handle situations in life. So what can a movie about a mafia boss and gangsters teach you about leadership? If you look closely at the main characters in The Godfather, you'll notice that you can learn a lot about leadership principles, both the good and the bad. So I'm going to start off with the negative lessons, okay? And then I'm going to end with the positives. The negative lessons, characters matter. Despite the fact that Don, and Vito and Corleone and is the hero of the film, an effective leader of a successful family. He had to be a criminal. He had to have poor moral character. And there's a distinction between being an effective leader and being a good ethical leader. And the difference is character. Ethical leaders promote the common good. The mafia operations, as depicted in The Godfather, exploit people and leave paths of victims in their wake. Although Vito Corleone may have some admirable qualities and financial success, he in the end is a criminal by definition, what most people would see as a bad leader. And remember, power can corrupt. Perhaps the clearest theme in The Godfather, which is better depicted in Godfather 2, is the process by which a hardworking and law-abiding Vito Corleone gains power and money, and though intimidation and later murder becomes a powerful head of a crime family. Throughout the film, we see Vito rationalize his criminal behavior. It's only business. The authorities are corrupt. Good leaders need to work hard to avoid temptations of power. So those are the negative lessons, but more importantly, I want to talk about the positive lessons you can take from a movie like that. There's a reason why The Godfather has such a powerful influence. There's a reason why it's in the top 10 movies to watch before you die. It's a reason why it's in the top 100, movies list of all time. Transactional leadership can work. So transactional leadership involves an exchange of money for work, one favor for another. Throughout The Godfather, transactional leadership is on full display. The famous line, "I'll make him an offer he can't refuse," suggests that everyone has a price or a pressure point. Wise leaders, however, make sure that transactions are fair to all parties to avoid resentment later. Relationships matter. The Godfather is full of illustrations of power and relational leadership. In fact, it is the power of, your familia relationships that makes a mafia an effective organization. Realize I said effective, not ethical. More on ethics later, as I said in my negatives before. In fact, the very term Godfather suggests that an individual can have a family tie despite not actually being a blood relative. Good leaders work hard to develop strong relationships, and which creates followers. Successful leaderships are strategic. Right? Much of the movie depicts the strengths and strategies that Don Corleone and his advisor use to manage their operations, but deal with the competition from other mafia families to overcome setbacks. Thinking ahead, having contingency plans, and being resilient are all important elements of leadership. And the best leaders develop leadership capacity in others. Much of the later portion of the Godfather movie depicts the development of Michael Corleone from an outsider in the family business to the eventual leader and successor of his father. Don Corleone, the movie illustrates the emergence of Michael as a leader. The scene in the hospital to protect from the assassins, and the Don's development of Michael's leadership through his entrusted advisor, Tom Hagen, mentoring of Michael. So what does this all come down to? That being a leader is something that has pros and cons. There are sacrifices that every leader needs to make, and particularly towards men. Men have a biological instinct that we want to be selfish and achieve a lot so that we can take on a lot and then provide and sacrifice a lot. Okay? And that's commonality to men's core, which is why when The Godfather was written, it kept these principles in mind. And you can tell throughout its writing that they found that kind of thing important. There are other movies out right now like Narcos. Pablo Escobar, he had the same type of thing. He made unethical decisions in order to keep an empire that he found crucial, but not only to himself, he was a very loyal family man. And people will look at that and say, well, he was also a criminal and whatnot. Well, we can say that about a lot of people. You could look at politicians and say they've been caught in lies and whatnot. So apparently there seems to be a bend when it comes to leadership of that magnitude. Not typical managers, directors, executives, and companies, But when you're on a magnitude so high that you're in the top 1% of the world's leadership, that often ethical things are broken, sometimes involuntary. It happens through the organization without their knowledge. So it's not always a fault of that. But, one thing you can take away from is that The Godfather is an effective lesson, particularly for men, and it teaches you about family and sacrifice, which is very important to the biological makeup of men. So I hope this information was entertaining for you. And if you want to book a personal session with me on any of my other topics, you can click on the contact link below. And if you just found this information interesting and of value to you, you can click on the donation link below, and I will talk to you soon.